Welcome back to Radio Detox. Great guest today, Gonzalez. He is the co-founder and CEO of Pleb Lab in Austin. And if you don't know, Pleb Lab is a hackerspace and community accelerator for the Bitcoin era. The era that we're in, as tough as it may be, he's focused on early stage founders at Pleb Lab. Car helps builders go from idea to product to revenue and to find success on their terms. At Pleb Lab, Car helps run Startup School, Top Builder, Bitcoin Builders Club, and Startup Day across the US and Latin America. He also hosts Early Days, co-hosts Stacker News Live with Keon, and helps produce Pleb TV so founders and builders can learn what actually works, grows, and gets you to meet the right people at the right time. Car's background's media, systems, the arts, and community ops. He likes tightening the GTM, lining up the products and partners, and being in the trenches with founders and projects from day zero through the first checks. Car is here to help founders and builders win and stack compounding real-world advantages for the Bitcoin ecosystem. So if you're building, investing, or want a partner, he's the man. We have a lot to talk about today. Car, welcome to Radio Detox.
Thanks, Heather. It's amazing to be here. Big fan of the show. Big fan of what you're doing here on Substack. So thank you.
Dude, likewise. Big fan of everything you guys have been doing at Pleb Lab. And, I'm in probably too good of a mood today because it's Saturday. As we're recording this, it's August 1st. So let's get into the meaty part, the horrible thing that is happening right now in Bitcoin with the coin card. I'm sure you've got some thoughts, or maybe probably heard some things already out in Austin. First of all, we're hoping you're okay and that everybody you know is okay.
I think that, there was definitely like a big scare this week. It's kind of funny because we had planned this like 2 or 3 weeks ago or whatever it was, Heather, and nowhere did I would have ever imagined something like this would have happened. I think for me personally, my heart just goes out to all the plebs and all the people that lost Bitcoin in this. It's terrible, absolute devastating. To me, like personally, to me, this is almost like if Bitcoin got hacked personally, and to a lot of people, that's how they're feeling. And just in our local community here in Pleb Lab, like there's a lot of people that were freaking out and were messaging me on Slack and some of these other things. And so I think from what I can tell, it seems like we were able to save, at least people in our community.
Good.
And then separately, just outside of that, when I talk to all the really smart, big brain people inside of Pleb Lab, like the ones who are building a lot of this stuff, who knows exactly what's going on. And some of the stuff they tell me is just like really alarming. And I think we were saying it right before the show, but I realize now, like we all need to take our own responsibility for our own stack going forward. And that means like pen testing, and that means like thoroughly looking through the stuff that we are saving our Bitcoin on.
I think we need to kind of all like take a pause and reevaluate our setup, reevaluate our ritual around it. Did we set things up right? Do we need to start over? Do we, it's just kind of, I'm second guessing a lot of things right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's very likely that we'll probably start like a Bitcoin security group or something out of Pleb Lab that will have some sort of like a public thing that we can share with people and that sort of thing. Because I just think at this point, like it's on us. It's on us plebs. It's on us, the individuals, to secure our stack, and we should be pen testing and like telling people ethically what's going on.
I think that as a whole, I think Bitcoiners are really smart, motivated people, motivated to learn. We're very conscientious. It just seems like this is, in a way, I mean, not to take away from the failure of certain individuals or companies, but I think as a community, I think we failed here. I think we didn't educate ourselves and one another properly. I think a lot of things went wrong. I think we're going to be unpacking this for a long time.
Yeah. And I think also to your point, there's definitely a trust pool that happened this week with certain people. And that's unfortunate. But at the end of the day, that's our responsibility for putting that trust in them. We have only ourselves to blame, obviously. But we do need to, that's what I was saying earlier, we do need to take our own we need to take our responsibility for ourselves. And we need to get back to the hardcore Bitcoin ethos that we used to have before a lot of the stuff that we've seen over the past few years. Because I realize at this point, a lot of those people just don't have, the best intentions for us. And we just need to take it to ourselves and do these things and help as many people as we can locally. And that's the best you can do, right? Start with yourself.
Yeah. Exactly. I've been thinking about that a lot for the last few months of like, I should be a better Bitcoiner than I am. Like I should get back to the nuts and the bolts, the basics of it, which are, understanding Bitcoin, educating myself about Bitcoin, running the node, doing the self custody, running some kind of home miner. I think that feels like those are the fundamentals to me. Like, and to know my stuff in such a way that I can be conversational about it when I'm talking to people who are new to Bitcoin. And so that I don't automatically go into like weird Bitcoin maxi jargon. Like if my niece comes to me and asks about Bitcoin, I want to be able to know my stuff in such a way that I can conversationally relate to a 24-year-old and, a 24-year-old girl, no less, like a young woman, because women seem so much less inclined to do the Bitcoin thing and all the highly technical things. Like my niece, like barely understands like the Cash App wallet. She's not going to come to me to learn about self-custody and running a node, right? Like I got to get in where I fit in. And so I feel, or I felt, I should say, for the last few months, like I need to be a better Bitcoiner. I need to like maybe review some of the fundamentals. And then this happened and I'm like, okay, I can't be alone in this because I'm watching everybody kind of react real time on Twitter to what's going on. And I'm watching people who I know to be very accomplished, very intelligent Bitcoiners, absolutely just floored. Like people didn't think about entropy. People didn't think about dice rolls. People didn't think about CoinCard just had such a good reputation for years that like nobody saw this coming. And I think that one of the problems here, I've spoken to a friend locally about this, is yes, it's open source. Yes, you can evaluate the code, but how many people using the thing actually can do that? I can't do that. I'm not a dev. I don't know how to review code. I don't know how to dig into the CoinKite code and evaluate it for what I should be looking for. So like, how can I trust it? But I didn't think about that before this week. I mean, that's just like one of the things that I'm seeing people talk about.
Yeah. And that's kind of goes back to what I said, a while ago, is like, we all just need to take our own stack seriously and be responsible for it ourselves. And that's always been the case. Somewhere along the way, we all didn't do that, or at least I'm speaking for myself. I didn't do that. So it's one of those things where now I'm going to take it far more seriously now. It's a good lesson that we all learned, there's a reason why we say don't trust, verify. And this week we all learned that. I learned that. So I think the only thing we can do is move forward. I'm not sure like what's going to happen with some of these other hardware devices or some of these other things. But at this point, I don't trust any of them. That's kind of where I'm at. And it's nothing to do with their brand, the people that work for them, nothing to do with that. I just don't trust any of these things anymore. And it's just going to force me to have to go a little harder as far as like verifying some of this stuff. So which is good.
Yeah.
Which is good. This is all good. This is what I used to do in IT. So it's, yeah. And so it's just at some point we just got to start like trying to break these things and we'll get there.
That's a key.
So that's at least that's what we're thinking here locally, is like,
let's break them. Let's get every hardware wallet, get them all together in a pile, systematically go through one by one, try to break every single one of them.
No, and I think that's what we should be doing. We should have been doing this the whole time. Obviously, these companies should have been doing that themselves, but to be honest, like a lot of these companies don't have 20, 30, 40, 50 million, $100 million behind them. So they can't even hire the security professionals that you would need to do this stuff. So in that sort of scenario, you can't really blame them in a lot of ways for not having it. But us as Bitcoiners should have kind of looked into that. So I think even right now, if you kind of look at the things that's out there, you can kind of just go and run your own Kimmy or whatever, and look into like maybe possibly there's some other stuff that could be attacked, and based on how much they actually have to invest in security, maybe they don't have a big budget. And that's where I'm starting to realize that a lot of these Bitcoin companies are severely underfunded, and the fact that no one has given them adequate amount of funding is kind of like it's weird in a lot of ways. But
yeah,
and I'm not saying that's an excuse. I'm just saying that's just a red herring for me personally.
Yeah, there's a weird thing in this industry that, I've long said, if you're going to be in Bitcoin, you come here because you're either a finance bro or a tech bro, right? You're one or the other. And this is an example of where you cannot be one or the other. You've got to be both. You've got to walk finance and you've got to walk tech. And this is a part where tech failed finance. right? This is the two both have to be operating at an elite level at a startup. And yes, it does need to be funded. Like we do need to be doing the security research. I think this, if I'm not mistaken, came from Block doing the research. Block has funding. They were able to do that. They were able to find this vulnerability. But in the meantime, like wallets got drained. I mean, there was a tragic story or two that I saw on Twitter. I mean, it just blew my mind. There was one guy I saw who said he had more than $1 million on the cold card in the security, the safe deposit box. And he's thinking, well, it never touched the internet. It was air gapped, right? So I should be safe. And sure enough, he logs into his online account and he's like, oh my God, I got hit. That is so much money to lose. And you think it's safe because it never went online. It was air gapped. It is in literal cold storage, right? It's in a safe deposit box somewhere. So you think your money is safe, but it's gone, and I think the next step is like what you're saying, like is how we move forward, how we study the security of this. And also the postmortem on this is going to be amazing, but how do we, I guess people are going to want their money back. I mean, people are going to attack CoinCard, CoinKite, like with all the legal ramifications that they can muster. Like this guy who lost more than $1 million said he went down to the police station. He's in Canada somewhere. So he said he went down to the police station, filed a report, not because he thinks it's going to help him get his money back, but just because he felt like he had to do something, like there are going to be so many things that come out of this that hopefully will be better. But this is a group of people who love to build and hate the man and hate governance. We hate regulation, but at the end of the day, like people are going to get mad and go, okay, there were no protections here. And now there's going to be probably some class action lawsuit or something. It's going to get weird.
Yeah, it's really sad. Like I've seen a lot of those posts. It's freaking awful. Like my stomach just hurts just thinking about it.
Gut wrenching.
And quite frankly, like, I understand why people are screaming and hollering and shouting and being emotional this week about it, myself included. Like, and I don't feel bad for doing it. And I don't think people should feel bad for doing that. Like let out emotion however you feel. Mm-hmm. I mean, and then forgiveness comes next, right? And we're all in this together, like it or not, and we're going to figure it out together. And so that's why, like, for me personally, like, if you're upset about it, dude, lash out. You should. Like, everybody should lash out. That now is not the time to hold back. And then let's get ourselves, picks ourselves up and start trying to fix this going forward. And I think that's kind of where I'm at. I'm like in that stage where the past couple of days have just been lashing out and being upset and being emotional. And now I'm like, finally, like, okay, I'm done with being emotional. I'm ready to like get through this.
It's the stages of grief, right?
Let's just move on.
Yeah. That's acceptance, right? You
exactly.
You went through the stage. We've been sad.
Acceptance,
we've been angry. We've bargained. Let's move it forward. I guess make it better. Be better Bitcoiners. I think the community did rally and come together. At least from my end, I saw a lot of my friends helping each other out. I was texting friends. I was getting in touch with people saying, "Are you okay? Did you get hit?" And fortunately, like everyone I know in my inner circle has been fine. That's a blessing because I do worry, like that can literally like, having a background where I've worked in mental health and substance abuse, right? I've seen where when people have a financial problem and they think there's no way out, that can be very serious. Of course, substance abuse can be a part of coping with that. And also, people can become suicidal. I mean, you lose something you've saved for years. That is an absolute fortune. Man, I hope that nobody goes there. Like, I hope people have solid mental health. I hope people know how to ask for help. I hope people have a support system if they've been victims of this. It feels like it's a crime. It feels like it's a tragedy. I mean, like, I know you're like, I got mad, I'm moving on. And it's bad. It's like, there has to be consequences. And like you're saying, it's okay to be mad and it's okay to move on. Like, I agree. And I think there also has to be like deep, dire consequences. We cannot just let people develop on Bitcoin for their ego and at other people's expense. Like, this is not okay. This is not a sign of a healthy ecosystem, in my opinion. We've got to fix this.
Yeah. And I will say, like, I feel like Stacker News, kind of what my friend Keon built, he really built something really amazing there where that community definitely has like the right ethos when it comes to learning from each other.
Yeah.
Like when the whole coin kite thing happened, like I went straight there and there was just already Scoresby was writing about stuff. There's already posts, it was like up to date, merch was in there. It was amazing. And
That's
it
cool.
was one of those things where I realized I was like, oh wow, like having your own community online where you can go and verify and trust things because you know these people, you've interacted with them on
Yeah.
just this platform. It was far more for me like clear than if I would have went on Twitter and try to
Mhm.
dissect what was going on. It was just, and everything was being filtered
Yeah.
correctly inside of the stuff that Scoresby was posting that day on Thursday and Friday. And I'm just grateful that like that community exists in Bitcoin.
Mhm.
And quite frankly, yeah, I agree. And I think, I don't know how it's going to shake out. That's not my lane of understanding of
Right.
how
God, who could
like
know
are
right
people going to
now?
be able to get some money back to all this. Yeah, and I would imagine like behind the scenes there's probably already conversations about this, but
Mhm.
that will all happen next week. I'm sure we'll hear about it next week.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah, this is
unfortunate because there's people's lives are attached to a lot of these companies, and you know, families
Mhm.
are involved. And so right away, like for me personally, I would never wish them ill will because, you know, because of like what had happened. It's an honest mistake, I would imagine. And but yeah, at the same time, like they all have families, they all have kids. Like you don't want to wish somebody ill will like that because other people are affected outside of that one individual. So that for me personally, I don't know what's going to happen, but like you said, like it's just going to play out the way it's going to play out. And yeah, it's
yeah,
unfortunate.
like I hope people get their money back. I hope the hacker is caught. I hope things come to light because I think the community deserves that. Like I think in the least, like we should get information about everything that happened exactly as it happened. And it might need to be dumbed down for a non-technical audience too. I mean, there are plenty of people in Bitcoin who I would think, myself included, who would identify as non-technical, right? Like we've got to be able to, I think, in the long run, really dumb things down. Like we really need to be able to dumb down node running, self custody. We need to dumb it down to like the level of grandma being able to understand it because I know we all want to orange pill grandma. Like I have hope that we can do this, and I think that's one of the lessons that has to come out here. Like I know as a woman, some of the things I've dealt with in the space with some of the devs, not all of the devs, but some of them don't have the patience. They don't have the bedside manner sometimes. I think some of these people aren't ready for prime time. And there may be a little bit of a scent of that happened here. And I think sometimes when that happens and somebody thinks that they're the smartest person in the room and they're the decision maker and they won't listen to other people and they won't listen to users and they won't listen to the non-technical part of the audience, I think that's some toxicity that feeds into this type of situation. Like we've got to be able to listen to what people need. And when it comes to self custody, and then I know a lot of us are going to second guess self custody now. Not that it's a bad thing, but I think I'm going to second guess how I do it from now on. I mean, I'm obviously second guessing everything right now, but in the long run, like it's not going to be just who made the product, how is it made? It's how am I going to use it? Am I really going to sit there and do the amount of dice rolls? Am I really going to sit there and look at a binary of zeros and ones? Like, can I trust myself to do that? Or do I want to do self custody at all? Am I the kind of person who would be better not doing self custody? I mean, I'm kind of asking myself all of these questions now.
Yeah, and that's where, like, for me personally, I think everybody has to make that decision on their own now. There would have been a time where even myself included would have answered that and try to give you helpful advice. But now I realize that no, you shouldn't be doing that in Bitcoin anymore. You should
No, you
be telling
cannot.
people to make that decision for yourself. Tell them about the different ways
Mm-hmm.
that you see that are out there and leave the rest for them to figure out. And I think that was the biggest learning point for me personally this week is like, we all just need to stop giving advice about Bitcoin
Right.
products and hardware and all sorts of things and how to control. No, like we should probably come together as a community, like talk about the different solutions, implementations, and all that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, you as the individual need to protect your own stack because everybody's going to try to steal it from you. And I think this week proved that.
Yeah.
Regardless
And
how like you need to be thinking through this, you need to be
yeah.
watching carefully, all this stuff, and it sucks, but this is where we're at this week. That's how I feel personally. But I
Mm-hmm.
mean,
I think I'm there with you. Like, I think I saw a lot of people trying to blame AI too. Like, I think it's human nature to see something like this and watch people lose their life savings and go, well, let's blame, the person. Let's blame the times that we live in and the AI and this, that, and the other. And it's like, this was a collective failure. There were people who, admittedly, I would say there were influencers. There are influencers in the space who get brand deals and they do podcasts. It's certainly not me, but there are people who may have not the best motivations, right? Like at this point, I'm not making a full-time living in the space, so I feel like that's a good thing actually, because I feel like I am rather unbiased about certain things. I do still work for and take money from Wrigley. I mean, that is still a business of mine that I do. But other than that, like I don't like I think I have enough objectivity at this point in time. Like I'm not afraid to speak my mind, in other words, which I think is a good thing. And so I think that's part of the space too, where it's like maybe some of us lacked understanding. Maybe we didn't receive enough education on self-custody. Now we're second guessing it. Maybe we listened to the wrong people. We didn't consider the source and where the source was receiving money from. Right. I think some of us are a little more non-technical. And so that's part of the problem too. I think we need to look at like all of the issues here and that there are several layers of problems that we kind of need to dig through.
Yeah. And yeah, even to your point, like even us, even Club Lab itself, like in 2023 or 2022, like CoinKite partnered with us on some CoinKite products that we had, and we slapped their sticker on our website and all that kind of stuff. And I remember back then I was like, oh, cool. We have CoinKite, as a partner for, whatever it was back then.
Yeah.
And that's why I say I'm just as guilty to make that mistake as any one of these other people that are out there doing it. Obviously, we didn't get paid anything for that, but it was, like you said, they had such a great brand when it came to the hardcore Bitcoiners who said that these were legit products, and myself included, fell right into that same kind of thing now, and here we are, right? So that's why I feel like even myself, I'm
yeah, we're
just as
we're part of the
responsible
problem,
as
right?
some of these other people, but at the same time, like but at the same time, I realize now, like it was funny because yesterday somebody had reached out to me and they were asking about a certain Bitcoin company that wanted to come sponsor the startup day that we had in Guadalajara. And I said, no, because of their, just from what I know about them. And I was like, no, not going to do that, because I'm realizing now, like you slap a logo, you slap a brand next to yours, and you're telling people they are legit. They are a legit company, and
it's like a cosign,
all that kind of stuff. And I've seen all sorts. Yeah. And I've seen all sorts of founders come through the space, and you got to really, I think now more than ever, you got to really think through that these days. And there's really no way to know for sure, but you should probably do your own discernment and make the best decision at the time, or at the time of making that decision, I guess. But it's tough. Like it's tough. This things happens all the time.
If you'd asked me last week, I would have probably said, like, if you asked me what the best hardware wallet was, I probably would have said,
me too,
CoinKite. Like the perception, like the brand perception was there. I never bought one. I don't remember at the time that I was buying a hardware wallet. Like I went with somebody else, and I don't remember why. Maybe price was a factor. Maybe the complicatedness of it was a factor. Like I don't know. It seemed like it was probably the best hardware wallet, but there were also other choices. So I went with something else. And now I don't feel like I even want to say which one I use, right? Because I don't want that information out there for sure. Because I don't think that matters as much. But then I'm like, well, gosh, maybe it does, because at the end of the day, like it's so easy to get into a wallet, whether it touched the internet or not. Like does the hardware matter as much as I used to think it did? The security is what matters more. The entropy apparently is what matters the most. I just want to start over. I just want to hit the reboot button and just like do it all over again. But you can't. We can only live and learn. I think that, talking to that part about you being part of the problem, I saw that like BTC sessions definitely, so far, I'm sure I haven't seen everybody, but he jumped out at me as like somebody that I've seen online so far take accountability and say, you know what, his literal words, I was fucking wrong. He said, and like, he, called out some things and that was just really good accountability. I see him there on Twitter. He's X, Twitter, whatever. I see him there saying, I'm trying to help as many people as possible. The BTC mentors trying to help as many people as possible. There's like, 1,200 people affected or nearly 1,200 people affected. I mean, that's a lot of people.
I don't know. I don't know the count, but at this point it's, like you said earlier, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be out of Bitcoin. Yeah, I'm surprised a company hasn't been hit yet. With what's happened this week, because I would imagine a lot of family offices and a lot of like companies were probably leveraging cold cards and using multi-sig and all with cold cards probably. So I would imagine like you'll see more of that probably next week. We'll see how it shakes out, but it's a horrible time all around. And like you said, yeah, it's good that some people are taking ownership and owning it, and that's all you can do in this situation. You got to own it, learn from it, don't let it happen again, right? It's the people that don't do that are super sus to me personally.
Yeah, the people who are just like, I didn't do it, sweeping it under whatever. Anything that's the opposite of the accountability, I think that we're all seeking here. And you know what? This is where we're seeing who is part of the community and who can be a leader and who's taking accountability. Like, this is where we're seeing who's doing the right thing. Like even companies, like seeing companies react so quickly, like at Bitcoin, Crypto Cloaks, those guys got great emails out as fast as they could. So clearly I'm their customer because I'm on their list, right? But I saw Substacks going out. I also saw people who woke up the next day and went, oh my God, I had no idea because I'm not on social media. And now I wake up and, oh my God, I've lost my stack. Nobody told me. There was no way to get a hold of me, or you're starting to see this stuff come out, and it's absolutely gut wrenching to see people go through this. And it's for a group of people who really thought we were don't trust, verify. We really thought we were do your own research, right? This group of people really thought they were the shit. And then you see this happen and we realize that we have some weaknesses. There's some holes that need to be plugged up here for sure. As far as knowledge and practice, like this was a big humbling for a lot of us. Every single, if you don't feel humbled right now, you might be part of the problem.